Have you ever wondered how the rich keep getting richer while they're swimming in debt? There are ways to turn debt from a burden most people struggle their whole life to pay into a resource for building wealth. Remember the infamous 50 Cent? Yeah, the great rapper who filed for bankruptcy back in 2015. We will look at how he used his debt in a smart way to restructure his finances and make a massive comeback. But first, what is debt? It's basically borrowing money that you promised to pay back within a certain time frame. Just to give you an idea of the scale of debt, as of 2022, the United States national debt was a staggering $30 trillion. Yes, that's trillion with a T, but don't panic. A country's debt isn't quite the same as personal debt, but it gives you an idea of how common it is to owe money. You see, countries like the United States can borrow money and pay back over an extended time, sometimes even hundreds of years. Unlike personal debt, which typically has a much shorter timeline, countries also have the ability to create money to pay back their debts, an option individuals don't have. The total personal debt in the US is at an all-time high of $15 trillion in 2022. The average American debt is $59,000, with house mortgages representing the largest chunk of an individual's debt. Student loans, car loans, and credit card debt also playing an important part to this number. While these numbers might seem frightening, remember that debt itself isn't inherently bad. Many of us fear debt because of something called interest. Imagine you borrow $100 and have to pay back $110. That extra $10, that's the interest. The cost of borrowing money, in this example, in the rate of 10%. This number can vary and is dependent on a lot of conditions. The type of loan, your credit score, and current central bank rates in your country all play a factor in your interest rate. Many of us fear this extra cost, but it's all about how you manage it. Now let's introduce a new player, inflation. Inflation can be a secret weapon against interest most of us don't think about. If inflation is higher than the interest rate on your debt, you are technically paying back less money than you borrowed. Let's have a quick look at an example. Inflation is 6.5%, and you borrow money at an interest rate of 6%, both accurate numbers in the US 2022. This means that the cost of goods and services is increasing faster than the cost of your interest. Money in the future is losing value, and the $100 you pay back in 10 years is worth way less than today. Therefore the saying, "A dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow." And this takes us into the crucial part of how the rich use debt to create wealth. There is good debt and bad debt. Buying something that goes up in value, like real estate or a profitable business, that's good debt. Buying things that lose value over time, like cars or gadgets, well, that's bad debt. The real magic happens when you borrow money to invest, yielding higher returns than your loan's interest. Did you know that Elon Musk took a huge loan against his Tesla shares to invest in SpaceX? He leveraged the value of his Tesla shares to get a loan, using that money to invest in his other passion, space travel. That's a genius method of using debt to build more wealth without selling off valuable asset, a method the rich take advantage of all the time. So what exactly is this good debt, and how can you take advantage of it? Say you purchase a property for $300,000. To buy this property, you take out a mortgage with a 6% interest rate. You'll be paying $18,000 per year in interest. But you're not just letting this property sit there, are you? No, you rent it out. You set a monthly rent of $2,000. That's $24,000 annually. Already, your rent is covering your interest and leaving you with $6,000 extra each year. Remember we mentioned inflation? This, along with other factors, makes the value of your property increase. From 1992 to 2022, the US has seen an average growth rate of 5.4% in the real estate market. Using these numbers, your $300,000 property is worth $316,200 after just 1 year. Let's sum this up. You have $24,000 from rental income and a $16,200 increase in property value. You've made this, while your loan only cost you $18,000 in interest. So, not only did your debt pay for itself, you earned $22,200 on top of that in just 1 year. It's important to note that factors like maintenance costs, insurance, and fluctuations in the property market can impact the results. However, this is just one of many examples of how the rich use debt as a tool to generate wealth. Let's circle back to 50 Cent, the rapper who filed for bankruptcy back in 2015. At the time, he He was reportedly $32 million in debt, a situation that would send most of us into panic. But for 50 Cent, it was all part of the plan. Instead of letting his debt crush him, 50 Cent used bankruptcy as a tool to restructure his debt, allowing him to repay his creditors in a more manageable way. This strategic move didn't just help him regain control over his finances, it gave him the breathing room to reinvest in his music and business ventures. Within a few years, 50 Cent was back on top. His net worth increased as his businesses thrived. He leveraged his debt to rebuild his empire, now estimated with a net worth of $40 million. So, the next time you hear about a celebrity going bankrupt, remember 50 Cent's story. Bankruptcy doesn't always mean the end. Sometimes, it's just the beginning of a financial comeback. As exciting as this sounds, always remember, every financial move should be calculated and planned. Debt is a tool that can be very powerful in the right hands, but disastrous in the wrong ones. It's not just about using debt, but using it wisely. Remember this famous quote by Robert Kiyosaki: "It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for." So, the next time you think about debt, remember it's not always the villain. In the game of wealth, it can actually be your secret superpower. The rich have mastered this art, it's about time we did too. Until then, keep learning and keep growing. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and share with your friends. If you have any questions or feedback, please use our comment section. Remember, financial education is our weapon against failure.